We began with a word and a warning. Now we follow the water back to where pictures learn to talk. Two river systems, two languages of wonder. In Mesopotamia, clay and councils. In Egypt, stone and stars. Tonight we test the images that haunt the feeds. A beam at Abydos, a bulb at Dendera, maps that try to bully the sky. Not with louder rulers, but with wider frames. Provenance, context method. If part 1 named the borders, part 2 walks them and shows how the view changes when you stop cropping the past.
Return to the rivers. We began with a word and a warning. The word was Annunaki. The warning was about borders, linguistic, cultural, theological. Hold the map in your mind. The twin rivers of Mesopotamia sketch a story of councils and decrees. The single river of Egypt writes a story of solar rebirth and funerary transformation. Both are intricate, both are internally coherent. Both are big enough to house a life. When you keep the stories where they belong, something lovely happens. You can see the originality in each, more sharp. You can see the Mesopotamian genius for bureaucracy made sacred. The idea that the universe can be run like a palace if the right beings sit in the right chairs and sign the right documents.
You can see the Egyptian genius for ritual made architectural. The idea that if you cut the correct words into the correct walls facing the correct directions, time itself can be trained to bend. Neither needs to be anybody else to be amazing. Neither needs to borrow a pantheon or a pyramid. And when we grant them that dignity, the rumors don't become impossible. They become unnecessary. Part 2, the pictures that learn to talk. The beam that grew blades, Abydos. Look up. A stone beam in a temple at Abydos. At first glance, cropped just so. You see a helicopter, a submarine, something with rotors and swagger. Someone said that the ancients carved our machines, which means they must have seen them. The inscription field is not a single picture, it's a history of carving. One king's titles, Seti I Kat Makinki, cut first. Another king's titles, Ramesses II, cut over them. Centuries breathe, plaster loosens, edges flick, 2 layers overlap, and the human brain, top-tier pattern finder, world champion of faces in clouds, stitches the fragments into aircraft. We even have a word for this double story, palimpsest, a surface written, rewritten, and misread because time doesn't label its edits. The drama is not smaller when you know this. It is better because you are no longer held by a trick of cropping. You are held by a lesson. Context changes the image, the way a frame changes a painting. If your voice wants a line here, try this. From one angle, it's a machine. From the whole angle, it's history. The serpent inside the bulb. Dendera, deep under the temple of Hathor at Dendera, the air cools into ritual. On a wall, an oval swells like glass. Inside it, a serpent beneath a pillar, like a backbone. Beside, a curve that, if you arrive wanting a cable, can look like a cable. Someone said that the ancients wired a light. Listen to the relief in Egyptian. The serpent is Harsomptus, a form of the solar power that rises and returns, emerging from a lotus. The oval resembles the HN, a gourd-like sign bound to the womb of Nut, the Sky Mother. The Djed pillar beneath is stability, not voltage. These crypts are not utilities, they are storerooms for the body of a god, places of renewal, chambers where darkness is theatrical, a silence that lets a ritual switch the world on. Nothing here requires a socket, everything here requires symbol. It is ancient theology, complex, coherent, made to be walked through in the right order, at the right time. The map, the sky refused. Orion and Tepi stand on the plateau. At Giza, let the three pyramids arrange themselves in your eye. Left, right, small, large, offset just enough to feel intentional. Someone said, "This ground plan is a mirror of Orion's belt." A blueprint from 10,500 BCE, the so-called Tepi, a first time when the gods themselves laid down the grid. It's also what happens when drawings bully the sky. When astronomers and Egyptologists test the alignment, the neatness slips. The pattern only kisses perfection if you flip maps and massage angles. Timelines resist being dragged backward to a date that flatters the theory. And the constellational framework invoked is a later arithmetic, not the Old Kingdom grammar in which these monuments were conceived. That does not make the pyramids dull. It restores their human plot, because what the plateau really shows is iteration. A generation that experiments Snefru, a generation that scales Khufu, one that refines Khafre, one that completes the family portrait Menkaure. Not a download from a perfect sky, a conversation with stone, with risk, failure, revision, triumph. If you want mystery, there is none deeper than this. A people so serious about a vision that they were willing to learn it into existence. The plaque that would not cross the sea. The Queen of the Night. She waits in a museum now. A clay relief, high and stern, talons on a ledge, owls attending. A horned crown like a sentence. People call her the Bernie Relief, the Queen of the Night. Someone said, she's Egyptian, or she's a visitor from elsewhere wearing our myths like a disguise. Her clay says otherwise. She is old Babylonian, Mesopotamian to her core. Some argue Ishtar/Inanna. Some argue Lilitu. The debate belongs to that river system, that pantheon, that ritual economy. Even the ghostly remains of paint, black, red, white, anchor her to a workshop that never smelled the Nile. Objects deserve passports. And when we insist on stamping them with the wrong country, we are not opening minds. We are closing the only door that actually lets them speak. The right drama here is not a goddess that wandered the world. It's a civilization whose hands could make clay look like law. The city under the city. The forever teaser. Every few months, the headline returns like a comet. Vast underground city beneath Giza. New scans. Finally proven. I found hidden technology. Someone said that. The sand is a courtesy. And the stage behind it is a machine. The record answers like a grown-up. Where is the publication? Where are the plans, the sections, the coordinates, the methods, the replicable data? Until those arrive, what we have is a trailer without a film.
Meanwhile, the ground is already almost too generous. Boat pits, because journeys are theological and logistical at once. Magazines, because a project eats through stone and copper and needs shelves to breathe between meals. Workmen's tombs, because workers die, and the people who bury them are not embarrassed by that truth. Cuttings where casing stones once lay like skin. A harbour that brought the river almost into the project's throat. This is the city under the city. Not miraculous for what it hides, but for what it organizes. The marvel is not the rumor of machines. It is the proof of management. The planet that ate calendars. Nibiru. One more orbit around the sun, one more loop of the rumor that will not tire.
Someone said that a planet called Nibiru swings past every 3,600 years, delivering Annunaki, retooling the world, rebooting mankind.
It is a powerful idea. The neatness of a cosmic schedule. The thrill of being the generation that sees it sweep in like a blade. But planets are not persuaded by narratives. Either you observe them, or you do not. Either your ancient tablets name a Nile rendezvous, or they do not. Here the disciplines that read cuneiform and map the sky agree on a boring word that turns out to be the most beautiful of all. No. No evidence for the schedule. No clause in the texts that drags Mesopotamian gods to Egypt. No need for a wandering world to explain the achievements already busy being human. And there's a deeper, gentler no here too. No embarrassment in admitting that organization can look like magic when you film it right. The human machine. Reprise. Return with me to that worker city near the Sphinx. It is early. The desert holds its breath. A baker flips loaves out of a hot clay mouth and stacks them like bricks of sleep. A supervisor counts oil jars with a thumb darkened by writing ink. A boy learns by carrying water, the way hands learn the weight of a team. Lines form, tools lift. A cadence begins that is not music and not silence. The sun strikes a limestone face, and the face becomes a mirror. There is no special effect more expensive than time. There is no plot more ambitious than coordination. The greatness of this scene is not that it hints at visitors. It is that it needs none. In the language of thrillers, this is the third act reveal. The monster we were chasing was scale, and the heroes were schedules. Two civilizations, one sky. Let them both win. Hold the map again. On one side, Mesopotamia. A literature of assemblies, a theology of decrees. A creation epic that turns a defeated sea into the architecture of order. Its gods sit, speak, decide. Its cities codify consequence until law becomes a landscape. On the other, Egypt, a literature of transformations, a theology of rebirth, a funerary grammar that turns stone into a machine for becoming. Its gods rise, embrace, steer. Its chambers teach a king to take the sky by knowing the names of the turns. Neither needs to borrow the other's thunder. Both deserve it. And when you place them side by side, not stuffed into a mashup, not recruited into modern mythology, the effect is not division. It is clarity. The Annunaki remain Mesopotamian, flexible across centuries, sometimes ascendant, sometimes underworld, never Egyptian. The pyramid texts remain Egyptian, a liturgy so self-contained that it can launch a dead king into a cosmos measured in verbs. The sky, it turns out, is big enough for two systems to be right at the same time. How to watch like an archaeologist. Our archaeologist, you don't need a degree to protect yourself from beautiful mistakes. You need a habit. When an image dazzles you, ask 3 questions. Where is it from? Provenance. What is the whole context? Frame, not crop. How do we know? Method that survives strangers repeating it. Do this once and you feel cautious. Do it twice and you feel clever. Do it 100 times and you feel something better than clever. You feel trust. Not trust in any one narrator. Trust in a process that lets a picture keep its soul. That is what these temples are asking of us. That is what those tablets asked of their first readers. The last miracle. A scribe, late in the day, sits with a reed pen. The light is slant. The river smells of silt and fish. He dips the pen and writes the thing that connects us. A date, a name, a task. He is not famous. He is not even trying to be remembered. He is doing something harder. He is being accurate. 5,000 years later, accuracy is the only seance that works. We don't need a portal. We need a source. When you hold one, a tablet that survived a palace fire, a papyrus that kept its fibers together long enough to mention Akhet Khufu, a line of carved stars that tells a dead king the sun will be new again. Time stops being a rumor and starts being a place. That is the last miracle, and it is more astonishing than any ship in the sky. The fire you take with you. When the credits roll, the video ends. But the story keeps moving, not forward but down, into the habit you now own. From now on, when a caption tells you a ceiling is a helicopter, you will ask for the whole ceiling. When a relief looks like a bulb, you will ask for the myth it's breathing. When a map claims the sky, you will ask the sky to claim the map back. When a headline promises a city under the sand, you will ask for plans, sections, and a journal that lets strangers verify the claim without a trailer. You will not be harder to enchant. You will be harder to trick. And the enchantment you keep will be stronger, because it stays standing when the test arrives. The lights rise. We began with a word that the internet taught you to fear. We end with a word the ancients taught you to trust. Evidence. It isn't loud, it isn't fashionable. But under its weight, the world becomes clear enough to be beautiful again. So keep the rumor where it belongs, on the title card. Keep the wonder where it belongs, in the rooms where people wrote, measured, baked, carved, transported, counted, and told each other why it mattered. Not a mothership, not a hidden switch, not a planet that eats calendars. Just a ledger, a loaf, a line of stone, and the oldest superpower on Earth. US. If you're still here, you already know. Wonder isn't fragile when it tells the truth. And the truth, when told with care, still glows.